Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boots in the Field report. Who out there has about enough of this coronavirus? This virus has brought a lot of stress to people across the world. It has changed how we live and how we do business. But I do believe in the midst of this, we need to look around and take into account some of the good things that may be coming out of it. While a lot of the country is shut down, it is amazing how much work is getting done behind the scenes. Thanks for all of those people who service the front line, from health professionals to the trucking industry, as well as the farmers. You may not be able to buy toilet paper, but you can still get food thanks to the American farmer. Behind all these people are a massive amount of people and industries that have retooled to work from home. Here at CropTech, our staff is pretty much all working from home. It's a little eerie to walk by all the cubicles in this office and see all the computers banging away as the crew continues to work on maps and soil test orders. I know in our meetings I sometimes make fun of the millennials and Gen Zs, that they can't function without their technology gadgets. You know, the ones that they want you to text them instead of call them. The generation that, while the tractor is driving itself and the monitors and technology are completely in control of the planter, they're checking the markets, sending emails, checking Facebook, maybe even doing online banking from the tractor seat. The era of the coronavirus is the time for these generations to shine. They are stepping up to the plate everywhere to keep this country moving forward by doing and teaching others how to operate in this climate. I am just blown away how Zachary and Katie have spun this office around on a dime, enabling everyone to work from home. Janine and I have just sat back and watched that work environment change drastically, but the efficiency has been maintained. We're proud of our crew, and I'm sure this is happening in many businesses and occupations throughout the country. Another thing to be thankful for is that while many things are shut down in this state, ag is considered essential. This allows for all the support businesses to continue to operate as best they can. It is quickly approaching kickoff time for the 2020 crop. Here in the Midwest, we still got a lot of work to do, from seed deliveries to fertilizer and chemicals, as well as equipment readiness. As we prepare for the 2020 season, along with practicing all the things that the CDC tells us and that we must practice, let's practice some patience as well. Your retailers, your equipment suppliers, your employees, as well as your family will appreciate it. Whether we like it or not, coronavirus has changed the world as we know it. I imagine it's like the life-changing events that our parents and grandparents went through, like the Depression, World War II, or our generation with 9/11. I suspect the coronavirus will change how future generations go to school, what a college of the future looks like, how people practice their faith, how communities are going to communicate. Many companies will rethink the value of owning brick and mortar if employees can work from home. I can tell you for myself, it's already changed my mind on what a potential employee looks like. Bottom line, guys, we'll get through it, and we'll be stronger for it. So take a chill pill and spread a little kindness. On unrelated corona side, guys have been calling in concerned about deja vu about the coming planting season. Where we sit today, we are in considerable better shape than last year. In many cases, the fall work and hydrous and tillage did get done, meaning we don't have as much work to do as we did last year. Based on stream flows, we're in better shape than last year, meaning that tile flow and runoff is close to normal. I know this can change in weeks, but for now, it could be a normal spring. On top of that, going through last year should bring some comfort to this spring. We've been there. We can handle it. Take what you learned from last year's experiences and put them in this spring plan if it does get late. One question that has come around several times on how efficient is the nitrogen that I'm putting on with the planter. Can I cut my total N rate if I put some on with the planter? Some of these questions are being generated by comments I've made many times in meetings that any amount applied with the planter in a band has the same horsepower as twice that amount in a broadcast application. In that context, though, I am talking about paying the carbon penalty. In our studies, we have found here in Illinois that it takes about a minimum of 60 pounds of N for corn on beans and 100 pounds in corn on corn to keep the corn from slowing down during the carbon penalty stage. You know, that time when we experience net immobilization of N from the soil microbes. This 60 or 100 pounds of N needs to be near the surface where a small plant has access to it. Fall or spring applied dry, as well as weed and feed programs, count to pay this penalty. Anhydrous knifed in 7 to 9 inches deep doesn't count due to its location or distance from the root system. Let's say you applied 36 pounds in your dry fertilizer broadcast and 30 pounds with your chemicals pre-plant. You would be at the minimum in a bean stubble situation as long as weather didn't work against you. You should make it through the carbon penalty without a slow up. Now, getting caught in the carbon penalty in soybean stubble is usually just a slowdown in growth and a lighter color of the corn. Getting caught in the carbon penalty in corn on corn or a high carbon cover crop will usually create what we call ugly corn phase with a more drastic changes in color and growth patterns. The nitrogen that you ban with your planter is very efficient because of both location next to the row and placement of being in a concentrated band. We say any N banded with the planter has a 2x effect when it comes to paying the carbon penalty. So if you put 30 pounds on with the planter, that would have the horsepower of 60 pounds broadcast when it comes to paying the carbon penalty. But I can tell you there is some confusion about total pounds of N needed to grow the crop as customers are wanting to cut their total N needs by 30 pounds if they banded with the planter, being that it was twice as efficient. This is not the case. It is twice as efficient as broadcast to get you through the carbon penalty, but it's not efficient enough to cut your total N rate by 30 pounds. Your broadcast N is not lost. It'll be mineralized back in periods of net mineralization. With planter N, you're not stopping net immobilization. You're just keeping the plant happy while net immobilization is happening. In-season banding does improve overall efficiency based on our nitrogen plots, but it's usually around about 10%. So if you were to band 30 pounds with the planter and 120 pounds side dress, that 150 pounds would act like 165 pounds. So yes, you could cut your rate by 15 pounds in this case and end up with as good or better outcome than broadcasting 165 pounds in the spring. For you guys bringing prevented plant acres back to corn, the carbon penalty will differ depending on how those acres were treated. If you had them in covers last summer and have overwintering covers on them now, treat them like corn on corn when it comes to managing that carbon penalty. If you kept them clean of weeds and cover crops, your carbon penalty will be less than a corn on beans carbon penalty. But remember, you will have to deal with the fallow syndrome. N on the planter will help with the fallow syndrome, but it is phosphate that seems to make the biggest difference when it comes to the fallow syndrome. On those fallow acres, it would be a good idea to put some sulfur in the mix with your spring N if you haven't done so already. Our soil testing crews are chomping at the bit to find some ground dry enough to get back out on the spring testing. So if anybody has dry ground, please let Katie know. We're working on taping our bug patrol and BRT clinic that was scheduled here at CropTech on March 30th. When we finish, we'll put it up on the website and send out an email link so you can watch it. In this quiet before the storm, it's a good time to get your summer testing orders turned in. Katie says you guys are doing a good job getting them in, so let's keep it up. That allows for Katie's GIS crew time to go through the yield maps and the LiDAR data to cut zones into your fields. Stay healthy, keep her safe, keep her moving. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report.